for subscribing to the channel. I post 2 times a week, on Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I recommend using headphones if you would like to hear the gentle mic brushing. Okay, so for tonight's case, we are traveling all the way to Japan. Shout out to all my friends in Japan. This case takes place in Sasebo, I hope I'm saying that right, Nagasaki, Japan, on June 1st, 2004. And it is referred to as the Nevada Tan case. Now, I just want to say before I get into the case, this was one that took the internet by storm back then. Maybe not so much now, but you can certainly still find it in a big way if you search. And I believe that what happened here is that with all the memes that were created and Halloween costumes and cosplay costumes and fan art and all this dealing with this crime, people forgot that there were real humans here. Okay, and we are not gonna do that. I promise you this video will be completely respectful of everyone involved in this case. Alright, so let me get into it. Let's start out with the girl who we refer to as Nevada Tan. That is not her name. That is what the internet wound up naming her based on the shirt that she was wearing, and we will totally get into that shirt and all of that later on, I promise. But that is what we are going to call her because because, she loved playing basketball and that's what all her other friends were doing. And while they were all out socializing and having fun, she was at home expected to study. But of course, she did not spend all her time studying. Now, I don't know, it would be interesting to know why her grades went down, because she had 140 IQ. I can't imagine that the 6th grade curriculum could have been so tough for her that her grades would go down. So I'm thinking there had to be some other reason. It wasn't just that she couldn't hack it, But anyway, let's get back to the case. So instead of spending all her time studying, she turned to the internet. She spent a lot of time watching horror movies. She was very interested in anime and manga. And she was very interested in one particular movie that was called Battle Royale. It's a movie about a group of school kids who have to fight each other to the death in order to survive. She loved her best friend. She considered using a box cutter or an ice pick or strangling her. And she planned on doing it the next day, which would be May 28th. But when that day came, she decided not to. Like, she really couldn't do it, or she didn't want to. But then, later that day, she noticed that Satomi had written that word again, had called her Borika on her website. And Satomi took it down, but it was too late because Nevada already saw it. And she replied to her, "I will kill you," quote unquote. So, a few days later, June 1st, 2004, the kids are in school, and it's lunchtime, and people are preparing for lunch. Apparently, in Japan, they eat lunch in their actual classroom. Okay, so everyone's getting ready for lunch, getting their stuff together. And Nevada says to Satomi, "Hey, come with me. I want to show you a new game." She takes her into an empty classroom, tells her to sit down on the chair, and tells her to cover her eyes. Well, Satomi is not going to do that. So, Nevada quickly covers Satomi's eyes with her own hand, pulls out a box cutter, and slits her throat. So deep that she couldn't even scream. And it was said that she practically decapitated her. But that wasn't enough. Then she slit both of Satomi's wrists. And walked out. Now, as you can imagine, she was covered with blood. So a couple kids snapped a picture of her, because you know what people do right away, even back in 2004. So a few pictures were snapped of her. Side note, the police did seize those photos. But here is a photo of a cosplay of what she looked like, supposedly, in those photos. So this is not actually her. This is a cosplay. Anyway, everyone was saying, "Are you okay?" And her teacher's like, "What's wrong? Are you cut? Like, what happened to you? Are you hurt?" And she said, "It's not my blood." And of course, the teacher went and saw Satomi in the next room. You could imagine how bad that was. And unfortunately, she did not survive. The police were called, and Nevada was taken in. And here is what she said. "I have done a bad thing. I am sorry, I am sorry." She was very upset with herself and very remorseful. And as they kept her overnight, she wouldn't eat. And all she did was cry. And when she was asked why she did it, she said it was because her friend had called her a bad name on the internet and it really hurt her. That was it. So the thing is, in Japan, since she was only 11, that wasn't old enough to be responsible for her crime. So she was put in a girls' reformatory for 2 years, but while she was there, they diagnosed her with Asperger's syndrome, as well as something that is called hikikomori syndrome. People who are afflicted with that ailment isolate themselves at home like a recluse. So they decided they would keep her for another 2 years, so a total of 4 years. And then they sent her home for house arrest until she reached the age of 20. At which point, I believe she changed her name, moved away, and nobody knows what has become of her. And they're keeping it all, confidential. Now back in the elementary school at the time when all this happened, they had a memorial service for Satomi, and here is what her father had to say. I don't know what went on between the two. She is the same grade in school as my daughter, so I don't know how much she understands, but when things settle down, I'd like for her to explain what happened. Please do not forget that right beside you are people who love you the most. Please do not forget that there are people who would be very sad if you disappeared, even if not by death. Please treasure your lives. When it came time for elementary school graduation day, which was probably later that same month, since it was June and they were in 6th grade, there was an empty chair where they put a portrait of Satomi, and she was granted a diploma. Her father was there to accept it. They also gave a diploma to Nevada. I mean, she wasn't there, but they made it so that she officially had graduated because they wanted her to be able to go ahead and continue her education once she got out of the reformatory. best-selling thing ever, and they sold out, and they were like, what is even going on here? They didn't know. So when they found out, they discontinued it. So good for them. I mean, you can get it now. They discontinued it for a little while because, they didn't want to support this sort of thing. So that is the case. What do you think? I will tell you a little bit about what I'm thinking. So let's start with the age of criminal responsibility. What do we think about that? I mean, to some extent it makes sense. Like, you're not going to put a 5-year-old in prison, right? Or a 7-year-old. What about 11? Do they know right from wrong? I mean, she did. She was apologetic immediately. She knew she shouldn't have done it. But that's not true of every 11-year-old, right? So I do think that these cases should be evaluated individually. And it seems like the culture there agrees with this. The school gave her a diploma. They wanted the best for her. They wanted her to be able to make something of herself when she got out of the reformatory. So it wasn't as if people were trying to punish her, but they just wanted her to get better, become a better person and return to society. And hopefully that is what happened. Hopefully, we don't know, but hopefully she went back to society as a changed person. And that would be great. Is that always going to be the way it would happen? No. So, of course, I definitely believe that cases have to be evaluated individually, and before people are let back into society, they have to be evaluated. And now I should say, let's not think that she did this because she has Asperger's. That's not it. That is not why she did it. There are tons of people with Asperger's who are not murdering anybody, so I have to say that. What would have happened in America? What do you think? I mean, she wouldn't be charged as an adult at 11. But I don't know exactly where they would have sent her, what would have became of her. Would she be rehabilitated, or would she wind up worse off? I wonder. Like, what do you think? How do you think it would have gone if it happened in America? And I'm also kind of thinking, how is it that she was so angry that she planned out this crime? She was thinking about it for a few days, because she first came up with the idea on May 27th, and then she did it on June 1st, right? But yet on May 28th, she decided not to do it. But then when she was insulted again, she changed her mind to go ahead with it. She picked out the murder weapon, and she went and she did it, and then instantly she regretted it. Was she too young to realize what it would feel like afterwards? Was she too young to think that much into it? To say, what would it be like after I do it? Will I get in trouble? Will I feel guilty? I'm wondering. Should we blame these horror movies and these violent internet sites? Should we blame them? You know how that gets. You can't blame them. There are tons and tons of people out there watching that stuff who don't become killers. So they're not to blame, but did they contribute to her mental state? I mean, so I am certain that it had something to do with it, but not to say that it was the fault of the movies or the internet sites. Just that it did shape her way of thinking at that time. Alright, so I am going to leave it there. Of course, my heart goes out to the victim, Satomi, and her father, and the family, and anyone who was a friend or community member who was affected by this crime. Thank you so much for joining me today.